All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I'm your host, Sandy Shellis, all day, every day. It's good to see you guys. I do have an interesting piece tonight, but first I'm going to say hi to Jean. Thank you for moderating, and Kim, thank you for moderating. It's good to see But the Truth and Tommyist and Teddy Cool and Chris and all of you, Lightning Rod and Wanda and Looney. Hi, Alex. Hale. Welcome, Pequin. Everybody, thank you for joining. So tonight, the piece I have, it's not very long, but it's going to spur conversation. It's going to spur thinking, and quite frankly, it's not anything we haven't talked about before. I mean, when we go over this, you'll see it's something that's in our vernacular, this whole topic, for a very long time. It's quite good though, and it was compelling, and I thank Obsolete Optics Brett for finding it. He finds all kinds of good things, interesting people, obscure people, and as I read it, I did look at the comments, and there were a couple of comments that I thought, in his own, the writer's own um comment section, whatever. So anyway, Luke, maybe nice to see you from the UK. Welcome, and hello CB. All right, so I think we'll get started. I know that my Wednesday night crew is over there at the Letter Hack doing a political show, which this is not tonight. Not quite, not really, but it is also Climate Week in New York City. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and what I have seen there going on. It's a little bit like COP New York, but we'll talk about that after. And I have just been extremely busy, and I'm going to tell you, personally, I have come to the conclusion that my body is the earth, and that the pain that I feel is akin to what we in humanity, humans, are doing to the earth every day. It's kind of like my body is the receptacle, and everything I hurt, and now it's my rotator cuff, and it's my neck, and I feel like this is how the earth must feel. It's not a good place to be, in constant pain, but this is how the earth must feel from the assaults that we heap upon her every single minute of every single day. And it's, I guess, a certain way of being able to handle all of what I consume, all of what I read, all of what I learn, all the studies, all the journals, all the videos, all of the information, by making it have a little bit of a personal thing, and that Gaia is my body, and my body feels the pain. So, that being said, while you are all joining, I'm going to bring up the article. Okay. The author is Jan Andrew Bloxham. He's quite interesting. I'm hoping to maybe be able to do all the parts. It's a 5-part. I picked tonight's denial part. I thought it was appropriate. And as I said, it's not different from what we discuss on this channel. And it really isn't. I don't know how long he's been around or anything, but I liked it, and I was happy that Brett shared it. So here we go. All of my core beliefs are at odds with the scientific consensus on literally everything. How could all those scientists be wrong? Now, at first glance, you might look at that comic and say, oh, scientists are never wrong, but that's not true, and you'll see why as we go on. Maybe not wrong, but they haven't always been ethical. And we love our scientists, but we love our scientists that are on the right side of history, don't we? So I can't put on Jan. I'm not sure if he calls himself Jan or Jan. I can't put on his voice, but do your best. So 20 years ago, British royal astronomer and best-selling author Martin Rees gave me a copy of his book, Our Final Century. The title says it all. In what was presumably a merciful attempt to spare me from falling into despair early in life, he scribbled a question mark at the end of the title and added, Jan, in the hope that all these gloomy thoughts are as wrong as many of my cosmological stories have turned out to be, all good wishes. So I'm going to read it again. In the hope that these gloomy thoughts are as wrong as many of my cosmological stories have turned out to be. All good wishes, Martin. I remember enjoying that book a lot at that time. I appreciated his crystal clear writing and was intellectually tickled by the complexity of the issues. However, I was not emotionally affected in any meaningful way, and I soon resumed to my hedonistic lifestyle and pedestrian family life, somehow unperturbed by the devastating prognosis of our imminent future I had just read an entire book about. Taken together with the rest of our predicaments, our baked-in climate change has already enshrined our collective doom, an indisputable fact that almost no one recognizes. Frankly, I exhibited the very same response most anyone has to such cautioning. It just didn't register. It rarely does, and there are plenty of reasons why. First and foremost, to be receptive to warnings about distant threats. One cannot be consumed by attending a more important need in Maslow's hierarchy. Make sense? That's a solid chunk of the world population lost to the message right there. Ain't nobody got time for that. So let's take the threat of climate change, which features in Martin's book, as an example, though of course the word threat is a grand misnomer. Taken together with the rest of our predicaments, our baked-in climate change has already enshrined our collective doom, an indisputable fact that no one recognizes, almost no one. And he does have his pieces, and I know that this was the the Uninhabitable Earth, which many of us have read. I know I have, by David Wallace Wells. And that's what I like about Substack, too. You can do that, and all your links can be right in the article. All right. So do you think they'll accept climate change now? The notion that we can't enjoy infinite growth on a finite planet entered public awareness in a big way in 1972 with the publication of Limits to Growth. But did the merchants of doubt, Reaganite policies, and Thatcherism immediately bulldoze that issue in the name of making rich people richer? You betcha. And you remember the merchants of doubt. The merchants of doubt, where the scientific community has long led the world in research on such areas as public health, environmental sciences, and issues affecting quality of life. Our scientists have produced landmark studies on the dangers of DDT, tobacco smoke, acid rain, and global warming, but at the same time, a small yet potent subset of this community leads the world in vehement denial of these dangers. And if you remember, it's the same stuff, not settled, denying the truth of studies linking smoking to lung cancer, coal smoke to acid rain, CFCs to the ozone hole. Doubt is our product. And you know, guys, it really still is. Hence the Heartland Institute. So William Catton Jr.'s seminal work, Overshoot, in 1980, which we have talked about many times on this channel, plainly stated some hard facts about the ecological overshoot of human populations that we didn't like believing. So we didn't. You see, the human mind is equipped with a deflector shield designed to help us ignore those inconvenient truths. From a veritable slew of cognitive biases to belongingness to short sightedness and our insatiable greed, there are countless major obstacles to rational reactions and prudent preparedness against threats of extinction. Game theory, conspicuous consumerism, and black box algorithms stealing our focus, then do theirs to seal our fate. Apart from our hardwired psychological faults, perpetually spreading ideological mind viruses such as creationism and classical economic theory also yield total cognitive protection from embracing an honest relationship with reality. As it is impossible for people to simultaneously hold two conflicting worldviews in their mind, they find themselves unable to abandon the first indoctrinated one because that would entail admitting they'd been wrong all along. And we really don't like doing that. And so they don't change their mind even when confronted with gainsaying evidence. That one's called cognitive dissonance. One of the biggies. Don't even think about it. Why our brains are wired to ignore climate change. He says it's the best book he's found on denial. So we'll have to check that book out. It's one I don't have, believe it or not. So it's also just hard to know very much about the world. You know, in our overly specialized world, practically everything is on a need-to-know basis. And let's face it, not much insight is needed to slave away at our bullshit jobs. One can quite happily gallivant around believing in silly things such as angels, UFOs, the comforting thought of an afterlife, and flat earth, without a shred of concrete evidence. Some of these delusions are actually very profitable for Darwinistic reasons. At the group selection level, communities bound by religious ideologies traditionally outlive secular ones by a factor of 4, the latter being too busy arguing amongst themselves. It turns out that banding together to go, la la la, we can't hear you, and bonking people on the head is quite advantageous for propagating your tribe, which is precisely why cognitive dissonance has survived evolution so well so far. After all, war determines who is left, not who is right. Other psychological deflector shield components that inconvenient truths must penetrate are various forms of denial. Literal, it's not happening. Interpretive, it's not our fault. And implicative, that is, not accepting what must be done, let alone finding the strength and courage to do it, or indeed any way to escape our locked-in system of cancerous capitalistic societies and Moloch, the demon of game theory that traps us time and time again in nigh unsolvable problems such as the tragedy of the commons and free rider problems, the Achilles heel of Marxism. Moreover, penetration of the deflector shield requires, in the case of climate change, a penchant for abstract thought in the recipient, the ability to extend a graph line into the future and grasp the consequences, descent in a curiously small portion of the population, and such people are not at all appreciated by the rest. Does that ring some bells with you guys? I don't have a bell, but I have a triangle. We love graphs. Elizabeth Swan. There will come a time when you have a chance to do the right thing. But Jack Sparrow, I love those moments. I like to wave at them as they pass by. Most sensory people are sensory types who look out the window and observe that the weather seems rather nice. So all must be well, a useful assessment skill they honed for countless generations way back on the savannah when invisible things such as CO2 levels, microplastics, and forever chemicals weren't, a thing. One of the greatest shortcomings of the human race is its inability to comprehend the exponential function. Albert Bartlett. Perhaps if we retained a strong connection with the natural world, we'd care about it. Sadly, our caring has dissipated from our cultures and peoples ever since the necessary abandonment of animism around the time of invention of the plow. One can't very well beat an animal one worships, after all, or perhaps, more accurately, exterminated via the genocide of countless indigenous peoples, most of whom were a hell of a lot wiser than the greedy, power-hungry savages that invaded and conquered their worlds. Moral philosophy is a hard yo. We're not wired for it. The very few who do see the whole devastating truth about climate change feel utterly helpless, lonely, and surrounded by sheeple. When committing the faux pas of mentioning it, they immediately run into social taboos of being a downer, and they are effectively ostracized. I really want to talk about climate change, but it feels uncomfortable. And then, well, at least I didn't make things awkward. In the case of scientists and activists, big oil can't afford them to speak any sense, and so crushes them with ad hominem attacks. Abuse and death threats from blind and vile human beings stymie them into cowering submission, and morally bankrupt denialist judges throw them in jail for years. Roger Hallam, anyone? Their spirits crumble. They sensibly forego having children to prevent adding to the problem of overpopulation, as well as to spare the unborn from experiencing the coming hellscape, and eventually end up huddling together in small, huddled groups, hush groups over sad half-pints, lamenting what might have been. Ignoring evidence-based conclusions of impending doom is a maladaptive strategy so suicidal that it can fairly be called lunacy. Veganism is a no-brainer, honorable moral choice, and is, therefore, one of the more commonly adopted ones. However, it's typically driven by sympathy for the factory farm animals we torture and slaughter by the trillions, more than the uncommon knowledge that 1 pound of beef takes 5,000 liters of increasingly precious fresh water to produce. Unfortunately, the meat paradox takes care of those sympathies for most people, enabling them to continue gobbling down flesh as if it's somehow okay. I'm not throwing stones here. I'm one of them, which serves to hammer down the point I just made. Our rational minds are merely press secretaries for the primitive emotions that actually decide our actions, making up excuses for them post factum, something Buddha figured out 25 centuries ago and science has since corroborated. But don't feel bad. Moral philosophy is hard. We're not wired for it. What we are wired to do is be behaviorally dominated by our reptile and mammalian brains. Heck, even our gut bacteria has a controlling vote, and that was pretty interesting. We might look at that after. Our very minds are a fundamental cornerstone of our unavoidable demise. Ugh, it's getting dark. I know. If you're still with me, please read on. We're almost done for today. Ignoring evidence-based conclusions of impending doom is a maladaptive strategy so suicidal that it can fairly be called lunacy. Tragically, it's just human nature. We did not evolve to predict and avoid it, as evidenced by the empirical fact that every single civilization we've had so far has failed. Theoretically, we could have built utopia. We did have the means. As we wait.
The thing of it is we really did have everything, didn't we? I mean, when you think about it.
But that would have required immense wisdom, self-restraint, and compassion for each other at a level far beyond our primitive capabilities. If everyone loved each other, the world's problems would never have arisen in the first place. Cue the eye rolls. Okay, we're going to take a quick little thing because I have to change it. I have an eye roll. Hang on. Hang on.
Here's your question. Are leaders of today doing enough to protect future generations from climate change? If not, what more should they be doing?
You saw the eye roll there, right? That's the typical. That's the usual. People don't want to talk about it. Unfortunately, the ancient traits of tribalism and xenophobia weren't stamped out in time to foster the cooperation needed to avoid our collective demise. In the fight between platitudes and ecological realities, there can, in the end, be only one winner. We shouldn't feel particularly ashamed. It's the way it goes for all life in the universe, evidently, thanks to how the maximum power principle, basically that limitless greedy behavior, is inevitable among self organizing organisms, leads to Malthusian traps proportional to our size and power, ultimately answering the Fermi paradox via a great filter. That is a show we've done. I could go on about that whole genre for a long time. Ultimately, survival of the fittest culminates with the survival of none. Each and every time. We won't realize we're all in it together until it's already too late. Except, of course, you that are with me in the chat. But never mind that we are about to extinguish the only intelligent life we know of in the entire universe. Let's get back to our fragile mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam and its so-called Homo economicus, so very busy congratulating himself for inventing stock markets and nation states and cryptocurrencies out of thin air. Entirely too clever for his own good. As long as our activity can go on, it's not so bad. It truly is fascinating how we simply believe what we want to believe, imagining that our laughable primitive models of the world even remotely represent actual reality. People's opinions are mainly designed to make them feel comfortable. Truth for most people is a secondary consideration. Bertrand Russell. But then that's what politics is about, isn't it? Bending reality to satisfy our primal cravings, however morally defensible or attainable or sustainable they may or may not be. It invariably leads to societal collapse as we run headfirst into the hard truths we refuse to respect. In the fight between platitudes and ecological realities, there can, in the end, be only one winner. Those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it, yet those who do study history are doomed to stand by helplessly while everyone else repeats it. Yeah, doesn't that one? That kind of feels like a horror story. Now, countless people have arrived at this conclusion before me. So to be clear, I'm not exhibiting an ounce of original thought by echoing the gist of it. Late psychologist and Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman saw it when he, while slipping into an end-of-life depression, despairingly opined that we are simply not mentally equipped to handle the challenges of climate change. The brilliant sociobiologist E.O. Wilson, of course, nailed it long ago when he said, "The real problem of humanity is the following. We have Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology." E.O. Wilson. I did, however, find a moment to pay them some actual attention and have now at long last become collapse aware. Although a lot of us here on this channel are collapse accepted. But despair not, my friend. For you, we will end on a comforting note. You will now return to your life, full of stuff you'd rather do. This blog will rapidly dissipate from your mind, which is busy protecting you, as it's always done, by truths too heavy to bear. I'm sure it'll be fine. Here, have a cookie. Whoops. It's... wait a minute. I gotta go back. Because it's not gonna matter. Let's start it over. Here, have a cookie.
I'm sorry, kiddo, I really am. You have a good soul. And I hate giving good people bad news. No. Don't worry about it. As soon as you step outside that door, you'll start feeling better. You'll remember you don't believe in any of this fate crap. You're in control of your own life. Remember? Here. Take a cookie. I promise by the time you're done eating it, you'll feel right as rain.
Especially if it's one of the cookies that I like to make. All right, we're not going to go to part 2 because we're going to discuss this whole thing, which I thought was filled with a lot of good stuff. And I want to look at this book. Don't even think about it. I don't know if any of you here have read it. Why Our Brains Are Wired to Ignore Climate Change by George Marshall. And it's 10 years old. And I don't have this one, I don't think. And I have a library I have a library, let me tell you. Most of us recognize it's real, but we do nothing to stop it. Now, this is 10 years ago. It's just gotten worse. So, engaging stories and drawing on years of his own research, Marshall argues that answers do not lie in the things that make us different, but rather in what we share, how our human brains are wired. Our evolutionary origins, our perceptions or threats, our cognitive blind spots, our love of storytelling, our fear of death, our deepest instincts to defend our family and tribe. Once we understand what excites, threatens, and motivates us, we can rethink climate change, for it is not an impossible problem. Well, 10 years later, guys, you answer that. So, I pulled this up because, again, I'm always seeing all of the bots on Twitter. And whenever there's a certain specific person that makes comments, all of the bots, all of the negatives come up. And this article from 2021 it's from Cornell University, which is not far from me. And basically 99.9% of studies agree humans caused climate change. So if you want, whenever one of those clueless morons makes a comment about climate change, just cut and paste this. I know a lot of places don't let links. You can even just copy or make a comment out of this. And if those people want to know, they might read it. But a lot of them don't want to read it. So a lot of this was, again, things I've talked about with you, things we've discussed, videos I've made, and I know you're all with me. And it's something else because, well, we look at all the things that are happening, and another record hot night in Cuba with 30.8 C. All of South America is burning up. It's burning up. And we have extreme temperatures all around the world, which we know. I don't have to go and show you all of them, but they're all over here. All the different countries. This is Iran. It's insane. Northwest Mexico. The heat has been crazy in winter times in different countries. So we follow all this stuff. We have to deal with it. We are those people. And even the wonderful people that I found in the Climate Crisis Club, that everybody understands. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a science background. Everybody has something that to contribute. They often ask me about the Doom Review, which, I have this channel and I don't particularly show material that's constantly doomer because I say environmental coffee house, everything under the environmental umbrella. And it's Climate Week in New York City. And this is the climate umbrella. It's the environmental umbrella. And I thought, well, let's take a look at this world. Let's see what these people, brought to you by the Climate Group, who are, I would say, the moneyed folks, because I went to the executive series and I'm looking at the executive series and I'll show you. From innovation to investability, data-driven insights to scale private capital for the green transition. Advancing renewable energy in Latin America, the role of businesses and subnational governments. All AI for all. How can we equitably deploy AI-powered adaptation solutions? The collaborative advantage. How can companies work together to tackle Scope 3 emissions? Accelerating decarbonization. The auto steel commitment. The silver and gold lining. How leading companies are thinking beyond compliance and using ESG reporting to drive growth. Advancing the energy transition in the built environment. You get it, right? You get it. So this is Climate Week. And actually, I do have a little video of another little thing to show you of what's happening in New York City. Hang on. I will get this with the protests because it's kind of cool. Hang on. I have not programmed my push button thing. I've been too lazy to reprogram it. So hang on, we'll play. This is what's going on. I believe it's Yellow Dot Studios behind this. Adam McKay. In a perfect world, wouldn't it be nice? Make the polluters pay. So in the meantime, it's Climate Week. And I suppose, everybody means well. People are looking for solutions. We are not, and I am certainly never going to tell people not to do what they do. I'm going to report on it, regardless of how I feel about the end, the big picture, the end result, the future. It's happening. These things are happening. And they've got the latest news. I think they're trying to see if I'm a bot or whatever. Well, they're trying to see if my connection is good. Verifying I'm human. Guys, am I human? Because, all right, latest news. So they've got the latest news. And we see the young people. We can, we will. And who would I ever be to disabuse young people from having any hopium at all? That's not what I'm here for. But I am here to bring all these issues. And this actually was an interesting one. The energy super cycle, the energy triangle, and modernization of the power grid. But one of the ones I watched was the health minister, I believe he was, of Barbados. No, the Bahamas. Bahamas, population 400,000. Bahamas are people that really have a problem. And the financial fund set up at COP is barely making a dent to help these people fortify their lives where they live. And that's the sad part, is the vulnerable people, not these wealthy people in New York City. But she did have a video of actions. The leader, what's her name? Let me get her name. This is the CEO and about, where is her name? Climate Group. Why can't I get her name? Oh, Helen Clarkson. So she addressed it. I saw that. I wanted to go back to the news, the latest news. Will it ask? Okay. So they've got tons of things. Opening ceremony, 22nd, they had speakers. Climate Week launch with global to-do list, which is what I wanted to show you. 7 actions for governments and businesses, including a ban on relining blast furnaces, unleashing renewables, and compensating coal workers. COP process alone not delivering the speed of emissions cuts needed. Climate Group calls for more radical action to deal with lack of delivery. So there's a lot going on. And take a look. If you're interested, take a look at what's happening at Climate Week. Okay? Will it change extreme temperatures? I don't know. But I'll tell you who's not at Climate Week. Elon Musk. He was with the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, in his Make America Great hat again. He is definitely not at Climate Week. And if you want to know, if I can find it, Argentina is not very interested in making any changes, or even, I think I didn't book. Oh, here she is. It's in Spanish, but let's see if we can. The UN's Future Pact is just some worthless extinctionist butt cheeks program that's designed to impede growth and development. Argentina is right to reject it, and every other country should. So it is in Spanish, but let's see. I don't know if you can see it because of my...
con otro gobierno, y el actual gobierno argentino se encontró con negociaciones ya avanzadas. Aún así, propusimos diversas acciones constructivas que, bueno, no siempre fueron tomadas en cuenta, y eso nos lleva a disociarnos. Nuestras reservas y objeciones al Pacto del Futuro no son, sin embargo, un obstáculo para la Argentina, porque al contrario, queremos tener alas para nuestro crecimiento en libertad. Señor presidente, mi país reafirma su compromiso con la solución pacífica de controversias y un orden internacional basado en reglas y valores democráticos. Queremos mostrar que la única batalla que vale la pena dar es la cultural, mostrando que es posible la libertad y la paz entre las naciones, y esperamos que el resultado de este ejercicio...
You get it. Argentina doesn't really want to have anything to do with making the changes, and I think it's the new president, unfortunately. Unfortunately, because Argentina is witnessing a very warm winter, and their beautiful glaciers they watch melt. So this is what we're seeing, and this is Argentina. Look at the size of that hail. So people are in denial. There's more. But look, Elon Musk, he's in Argentina. He's in Argentina. Oh, there we go. And they're doing their games. Where did I miss him? They're playing the games. Oh, yeah, there he is. Look at, he met with the Italian Prime Minister, the President of South Africa, and the President of Argentina. It's such a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. So we go back to extreme temperatures, which are, this is the norm now, and the storms. And we do have a tropical storm. It's a tropical storm, but it's going to become a tornado. That's in Florida or in the Gulf. So this is the chance of the storm that's coming in the United States. The winds and the storm, it's coming. It may not, but that's not tonight's show, actually. So I'm going to go back. We're going to have some conversation about what I showed. Okay. And I'd like to interact with the chat. I would. So let's see. Do I have any super chats to read? No. And I understand it. I just need like $20 more so I can at least get a payment from Google, because if you don't get $100, you don't get a payment. And also, please, please, please click the like. I never understand why people can't click the like. Are they afraid of having too many videos that they like? Are they afraid of people having access to, oh my gosh, someone liked it? Because it does help the algorithm. It really does. So anyway, gotta keep the lights on here. Yep. All right, so let's look at any comments that, there's a lot of comments. I don't know, did anybody put a Q in front of, hi Susan, did anybody put a Q in front of anything? Does anybody have something very important? Let me go look through, because as I was doing this, I could not. I thought it was a good writing. Oh, hon, I hope you feel better. I know. Feeling shitty is feeling shitty, and I do a show feeling shitty. And another thing, sometimes when I do shows feeling icky, I always critique myself worse than if I feel good, which is maybe, it's 50-50. It's a 50-50. Yeah. Earth Null School is a great place to keep an eye on the weather. Let's hope after January 2025 we have these options. Oh my. Okay. Thank you, Jordan. The money isn't real. But it'll put me over. It'll put me over. Oh, the horror of it. It'll put me over. Boom. Thank you. It'll put me over. So I can pay the internet bill. I'm not whining. I always say I'm so much more fortunate than so many people. It's really hard for me to whine and cry and feel sorry for myself or any of that. I'm privileged. I have a beautiful place. I wake up every day. I look out. I see beauty. It's just, the system we're in. I've never done the show on the insurance industry in the United States and what a scam it is. I haven't done it yet. It's fall. Winter is coming. I may be able to do a few more shows. Right now I have to clean up. I do have exciting news, though. I'm going to save up this winter. And for me, it's exciting. I think I'm going to have raised beds built in my garden so that it's easier for me to handle, and I don't have to give up my passion of growing and canning and preserving food. But it was difficult this year. The weeds got over me. Weeding was hard. I think raised beds are going to help. And my Amish neighbor could make the wood, cut the wood, come in, put the beds, put the wood. If he does it or if somebody else does it, just put the wood, make channels, put it right over the beds I already have. Because I worked so hard on the soil this year. So that's a good thing. We'll see if I can have that come to fruition, because it's a simple dream. Why do we keep knocking our heads against the wall trying to convince people? I try not to, but I still do sometimes. I don't try to convince anybody anymore, but I educate them. And instead of arguing or debating, present one fact that you know that may resonate with the person. Just one little fact. It might help. Did you hear Trump saying he'd make climate change a priority? Yeah, he can't even admit it's real. I didn't. Susan, I did not. Hi, Mike. When the AMOC slows, Northern Europe gets colder. What happens to North America? Can you get a climate scientist to talk about North America with AMOC slowdown? I absolutely can. And I brought on, Jim Massa is our oceanographer who talks about this. So I will clip this for him. And perhaps we have done many AMOC shows. You could check our channel listings. We've done many, many shows on the AMOC. But I will bring Jim on. And we will have that show because, yeah, North America will be different. It won't be as severe as Europe, the cooling. But yet, I will bring him on. And thanks, Mike, for asking that. I think that's way cool. Holy shit. Thank you. Now I just need about $7 more. That's great considering I don't monetize half of the videos because I can't. They tell me I got something wrong with them or the material isn't monetizable or whatever. And sometimes I put the ads in, so yeah, Hey, and Gary, you gifted 5 memberships. That's way awesome. Thank you, Gary. How really nice of you. I hope that the people that get the memberships enjoy them because I really do want to make more member content. And hello, what you can do. It's great to see you. We'll be together on Wednesday night at left past 10. All right. So my thank you, my gratitude is high for you people, for being wonderful, for the buy me a coffee, for everybody. I would love to. Paul will come back with me. He's been busy. He does a lot of things. Paul, we do have a good chemistry together, so I will ask him, and perhaps he will come on with me to do that type of show. So that would be wonderful. Mike, I expect Florida and possibly the East Coast to turn into a steam bath since heat is trapped. Well, she would know. And Jackie's been on with us and done a show with us. So maybe I'll put her in that show in the show notes. Alex Hale, Climate TV rocks. Yeah, it does. And I think your work on spaces rocks. I've talked to and now been exposed to so many fabulous, inspiring, neat people, regardless if they are doomers or not. The name of the game is learning about people, understanding where they come from. I think it's fabulous. And so I feel pretty lucky for that. All right, I have been not even an hour tonight. Isn't that something? I'm glad. Kind of want to keep them a little shorter. Maybe the algorithm will get us out there. More people are starting to follow Environmental Coffee House on Facebook, which I was really grateful for. The Discord is at a standstill. I can't manage it. Brett left. Suffice it to say, we have some disagreements, but that's okay. That's what life is about. But I love him. And so he knows it. He's welcome back whenever he wants. But the Discord is a difficult place for me. I don't have the time to do it. I just don't. It's very, very hard to manage all of these moving parts. And I thank you, Looney, also. Looney Tunes 9000, thank you so much, too. Yep. And learning about people on Spaces. Thanks, Sandy. Everyone is welcome. That's on X. Yes, we cannot stand Elon Musk, but there are some places that still are not tainted on there. I moved over to Blue Sky. I have things on there, but it doesn't have the capabilities yet that X has. And by the way, I've been putting videos up on Rumble. Some people have watched them. I only have one follower. I'm waiting to see what happens when people get hip to my content on Rumble. I think it's going to be hilarious. I even thought about live streaming on there. We'll see. Don't worry. I'm not going to grift. I'm not going to be one of them. I'm not going to fake pretend to be a right winger. I just want to sneak on in there and see if I can, I don't know, ring someone's bell. We'll see. So, guys, did we find something to flush tonight? If you think there's something flushable, please, please tell me, and I'm going to flush it for you. Okay? Because I can't always be the one. Gene, you like Rumble? Oh, my God. I think it's hideous. But, you know, to each his own. I find there's a lot of very strange people on Rumble. But, my goodness. Thank you, Dan. That was great. Wow. Thank you. It's keeping the lights on, feeding 7 cats. It's a lot of things. I think I'm going to have to do my long-term disability is a grift and a sham show soon. So people will understand that in the United States, how awful we really are in our healthcare system. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, everyone. With AMOC slowdown, the temperature gradient in Europe with the north cooling and the Mediterranean heating will create some special weather. Some weather, I added special, that we haven't experienced yet. You're right. Mike, I will be sure to start working on that show again. But in the meantime, look at our playlists and look at the material we have covered with AMOC. It's quite a bit, and we're happy to have you. Welcome. Mike is new, and we're happy to have you. It's great when we get out, you know? And we are not just labeled, you know. I don't like labels. I think that there's broad strokes. There's a lot for everyone here. We're not just one-stop shopping for, oh, that's doom. But I did think the article was interesting, even though, like I said, it went over a lot of stuff we've discussed before. But it was food for thought, and I will put it in the show notes. And if you guys want to read the rest, fine. I want to try to possibly make videos and not just do them live. I would like to do the rest of them. And I'm going to contact the author and thank him for his writing, for sure. Because I find Substack authors, there's all these good authors out there. And that's why I don't sit and write my own stuff, because there are so many people saying so many amazing things. I'd rather highlight them. You know, I'd rather highlight other people and bring them to you and help them get a following. It's just what I do. So, who thought of a flush? Nobody? Did anybody think of a flush? Come on. Well, I do have a very sad story. My neighbor's little baby dog ran out onto the main road and got hit. And she was over tonight, and we both cried. And it happened when I was away. And I loved her little dog. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to flush away cars that hit animals. And the dog got out. It wasn't negligence on her fault. The Honorable Flush. Her dog's name was Diogi, and he was a black and white little beautiful border collie puppy type dog, and she's devastated. So, yeah. Lots to flush right now, honey. You have COVID? Oh, I hope you get better. I won't be going out much this winter. I don't want to get that shit. It's just about a year ago that I got it. The only time. Mm-mm. I don't want that shit again. Plus, you don't know what is going to stay with you. You just don't. It's pretty ugly. Thank you. Thank you, Saint L. Wow, you guys really made my night. I don't feel as, I guess, anxiety ridden and scared as I did. I don't usually feel fear. I'm pretty tough. But, and I'm not going to whine. Like I said, it's not poor me, but I really do appreciate it. And thank you, all of you over there. All right, we want one more flush. Kim wants to flush. Where is it? Flush Musk. Did you see it? Where'd she put it? I'm looking. Okay. Flush Musk. We'll do one more. We'll do a double flush night. All right. Oh, yes. Looney, you're such a sweetheart to thank everybody. I love you guys. Good night tonight. Let me see what I could work on for Friday. I have been very woefully procrastinating on guests. Perhaps we could fulfill Mike's dreams Friday. I'm going to write to Paul and Jim and see what we can do. And yes, Jean, I just said thank you. I'll show it again and say thank you again. And thank you, Dan, you're a doll. And thank you, Veg, you're a doll. And thank you, Jordan, you're a doll. And I love your wife. We definitely have to have Karen back on, especially when Karen is such a great support in this time. I was thinking today how much I miss Michael Dowd. And it's going to be a year on October 7th that we lost Michael Dowd. And of course, nobody can take his place. But I don't know. Let me see if I do a show on October 7th. If I'm on, and October 7th is a Monday. So when I do my Tuesday night show in October, I'm going to dedicate it to Michael. And maybe we'll have some memories of Michael. Because I do miss him. I do miss him. And I was one of those that was able to call him when things were miserable for me. So let's all remember Michael. And I'm going to say goodnight. You guys are the best. I really do thank you and hope you enjoyed the article. And I'll see you Friday night. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Thank you. I love you guys.